Picture this. You are a tiny little speck floating in the vast nothingness. You meet other little tiny specks who float along with you in this massive void until one day you accumulate so many followers. What happened? That sounded big. Could it be? Are those planets? How did a universe form from a bajillion tiny singularities? Can it be explained by the principles of quantum mechanics contained within something called physics when coupled with astronomy? Isn't that the million-dollar question scientists have been trying to answer for years and years and years? Well, hello, confused listeners. It's me, your favorite contributor, Amber Wilson, from Physics Today, back from her lengthy overseas trip here to tell you a little bit more about that elusive and mysterious mistress we know as physics. So, a little background about my trip. My husband and I traveled to the wonderful island of St. Lucia. It's a beautiful place, and about as far as we've ever traveled. So, we estimated that for our 4 a.m. flight, we would need to leave for the airport around midnight. So, at 11:55, of course, my keys are nowhere to be found. This leads me to think, okay, Amber, this is the perfect time to apply the scientific method. First comes observation. My keys are not in their assigned hook. Next is hypothesis. I bet I know where they are. The only place I have not looked is my car. Next is testing. They must be in my car, but where? Center console? No. Go back to the original hypothesis. Glove box? No. Go back to start. Do not pass go. Yada, yada, yada. Aha! Flip down visor. Thanks to Isaac Newton and his beloved gravity, the keys fell into my lap. Lastly is the conclusion. My initial observation, followed by the falsifiable hypothesis, has been proven correct and successfully tested. Now let's get to that airport. Cutscene. We're in the plane, about to descend to the island. However, my husband is having an anxiety attack. I am clearly in a giant metal object hurtling through the sky. How are we staying up? How are we not hurtling to the ground? I calmly explain about my two good classical physics friends, Galileo and Newton, stating the Galileo principle of inertia, which reads, a body moving on a level surface will continue in the same direction at a constant speed unless disturbed. Considering the plane has begun its descent and is beginning to fall, the velocity of the plane plunging downward would increase as the speed considering the weight of the object, in this case a plane, and the size of the object both being significant. However, there is also the Galileo principle of falling objects, which states the weight or shape of an object have no bearing on the speed at which the object has in free fall. Better still, is Newton's third law of motion, which states forces come in pairs, also named the rocket law. This third law states that for every action there is an opposite and opposed equal reaction. The plane itself is fighting against gravity, fighting to stand against the free fall. The wings aid in this quest to prevent free fall. So no worries, dear. He continued descent white-knuckled with a green tinge to his face. Well, hello, St. Lucia. Hello, cell phone I have not used in 6 hours. How do cell phones work, you ask? Well, let me tell you. First, cell phones operate with radio frequencies, which is a form of electromagnetism. Cellular phone technology works on a system of geographical separated zones called cells. Each cell has its own base station, which both receives and emits radio waves. When a call is placed from a cellular phone, a signal is sent from the cell phone antenna to that cell base station antenna. The base station responds to the cellular phone signal by assigning the phone a available radio frequency channel. When the RF channel is assigned, modulated radio signals are simultaneously received and transmitted, allowing voice information to be carried between the cell phone and the base. The base station transfers the call to the switching center, where the call can be transferred to a local telephone carrier or another cell phone. Since St. Lucia is an island, cell phone service proved to be a little spotty as towers were far and few between, and most rely on landlines. I think I can hear my childhood wall phone beckoning. So we reach the room, and my husband wonders, what's the Wi-Fi situation around here? To which my reply is, did you know Maxwell and Hertz's work with electromagnetic waves led to the creation of wireless technology as we know it today in the modern world? That wireless technology operates on frequencies, so essentially the lower the frequency, the farther it can go, but it can't carry a lot of information, and the higher the frequency, the more capacity it can allow. I'm guessing that since this is a small island, the frequency is small, therefore the speed will not be fast. My husband is blankly staring back, and he says, well, at least it's free. Did you know that St. Lucia is very close to the equator? Not something I had considered. Needless to say, I was very sunburnt by day 2 and sat out relieved in the gift shop. I was able to snag the last bottle of aloe when my husband whips on his credit card and says, gee, I wonder if they take credit. To which I reply, did you know? Insert small groan for my husband. I drone on it irregardless. Credit card technology is a direct result of quantum mechanics and GMR technology, meaning giant magnetoresistance. This GMR allows technology to read very small pieces of data, and in this case, magneto refers to the magnetic field created by the permanent magnetic material. Resistance refers to an electrical resistance or a measure of how easily some current flows through a conductor. A material with a high resistance does not allow electronics to move easily. Certain types of conducting material change the resistance when a magnetic field is applied. This is called magnetoresistance. The giant part of the term comes from the magnitude of the effect because it is so much greater than any other effect observed. And yes, they took credit. So, enough droning on. Simply put, physics is found in more places than one could even imagine. From gravity found in an apple falling to the ground to the act of a moving car staying on the road due to the classical physics notion of friction. Much to my husband's dismay, I found a ton of physics examples on our trip. Too many to mention further. So, here's where I leave you. This has been Amber Wilson with Physics Today, signing off. See you next time!